Living with DeMarcus was everything I thought I wanted. Every day was unpredictable and exciting. Sometimes he'd come home with last-minute concert tickets or we'd drive to another city just because he felt like it. He didn't plan everything to death like Eric. He just lived in the moment. Sure, there were adjustments. DeMarcus wasn't as financially stable as Eric, so I ended up covering more expenses than I was used to, but that felt more equal than Eric always insisting on paying for everything, which now seemed controlling. DeMarcus also wasn't as communicative as Eric had been. He didn't text constantly or always want to know how I was feeling. At first, I missed that attention, but then I realized it was probably healthier. Eric had been so clingy and needy, always requiring reassurance. 3 months after leaving Eric, I was at this coffee shop with DeMarcus when I spotted Eric across the room. My heart did this weird flutter when I saw him, which caught me off guard. He looked really good. Different haircut, like he'd been working out, more confident than I remembered. I waved to be friendly, but he looked right at me and deliberately looked away. It stung more than I expected. We could at least acknowledge each other like adults. The whole time we were there, DeMarcus was on his phone, ignoring me while I kept glancing at Eric. When Eric left, he walked right past our table without looking at me. Seeing Eric looking so put together and confident bothered me more than it should have. I'd expected him to look heartbroken or at least affected by our breakup, but he seemed to be thriving. It made me wonder what he'd been doing with his time since we broke up. But I pushed those thoughts away because I'd made my choice for good reasons. Eric had been boring and predictable, even if he'd been reliable. DeMarcus brought excitement to my life, even if it also brought chaos and uncertainty. Living with DeMarcus was getting more complicated, though. What had seemed like passion and intensity was starting to feel like walking on eggshells. He'd get moody for no reason I could figure out. And when I'd ask what was wrong, he'd accuse me of being needy. DeMarcus started checking my phone when I wasn't around. At first, I told myself it was because he cared and wanted to make sure I was safe, but it felt different from Eric's gentle concern. When Eric worried about me, it came from love. When DeMarcus got suspicious, it felt controlling. He'd question me if I was even 10 minutes late getting home. If I mentioned a male coworker, DeMarcus would spend hours